something to talk about.
Carnival has given many people a platform to create. And in creating, they have purpose. Carnival fuels an entire ecosystem of creativity. It's not just a celebration, it's an industry. This is where passion becomes profession.
Look something to talk about.
My name is Carmy Joseph, and I am an artist manager. You may have seen me backstage at shows because I'm usually the person in front of the stage actually trying to direct the band, the artists, and everything else around them at the same time. I have managed a number of Lucian artists. I currently work with Ricky T. I am part of his management team. But my journey to getting here has been over 20 years. And throughout that time, I've worked with a lot of artists. I've worked with Mongstar, I've worked with Cupid, I've worked with Scatty when he actually used to be an artist a long time ago. And I work with Bronx and Matter as well right now. And I want to shout out all my previous artists as well, J Buds and Deshaun and all these guys. One of the things I love the most about being an artist manager is to see when I started working with an artist and to see where they can go and how they get there. You know, people like Ambi, when we just started working with Ambi and Monster together and trying to convince them to sing separately and the struggle of that, but then seeing that Ambi became his own person and Mongstar became his own person and the two of them were able to compete against each other. It is an emotional thing to manage people. You have to get a level of trust between you and the person that you manage, and it is tough. So you're trying to get as much money as you can, you're trying to get them everything that they need to be successful, and you're trying to be realistic about what they can do and how they can do it. It means that I'm also responsible for making sure that they are dressed appropriately. I am the booking agent, so if somebody wants to hire them for a gig, then I'm the one that works out those details. I manage the biography, which means that I have the actual written biography for each person in terms of who they are, what they've done, and the kind of music that they've been into. It's important because a lot of the times when people want to book an artist and they want a bio, there isn't that thing there. So what I think what is unique to what I bring is a professional aspect to what used to be, well, he's my friend, he might know people, he can manage me. Because one of the things that makes you a good manager is your network, but also it's the way that you approach the business. A lot of times artists are, by their very nature, creative, so they don't tend to be very good with the details. I come in with the details. So it means that in the case of the artists that I manage, they compete in Soca Mona. So usually most people have teams that do that. I'm like a one-person army. I like to have control over everything. So we get the dancers, we get the costumes, we get the presentations, we get the props. We decide how you're gonna go on stage, what you're gonna wear, what you're gonna say, all these things. So my role is to make sure that everything that is creatively designed is executed to the T. I've been doing this for more than 20 years, and it's been a very interesting experience. I did not start out intending to be here 20 or so years later. I actually met my business partner. I was interviewing him. I was at Jazz. I was hosting a jazz program because in addition to being a news editor, I was also doing a bunch of shows. So when we had the Jazz Festival, I had a jazz program. When we had Carnival, I had Mass Fever. And I was backstage at Pigeon Island. And my friend Tony Nicholas, who used to be at the Star at the time, he asked me to interview this guy, this producer from St. Lucia, who'd been doing these huge things in Trinidad. He had a rhythm called a St. Lucia rhythm. I was making a lot of noise down there. And he said, you know what, you should interview this guy as part of your show. Now, I had no idea who the guy was. The only rhythm that was really big at that time in St. Lucia was the 758 rhythm, the pizza rhythm that Pen and A 758 had done. And so when I met him, I actually thought he was Pen because he had the same dreadlocks and everything else. So I'm doing the interview, and while I call him Pen, and after a while he says, you know, my name is not Pen, it's actually Kitty. All quiet like, and I'm like, are you telling me this now? Because I'm like, we're talking, we're having a vibe here. And then spoke to him for a little bit, did the interview, cut the interview, and that was that. And but he had been working with one of my reporters had a friend that was doing stuff in his studio. So in trying to get interviews and stuff that way, we started talking and vibing and everything else. And I realized that he's talented. Nobody knows who he is. Now this is somebody, I'm in PR. So my thing is, nobody knows who you are. I'm gonna help you out with that because I liked him. He was a very talented guy. So started doing like press releases for him, and we did an album, so I organized the entire launch of the album. And so because of that, what was Dutch Productions as in a music label, as a production house, morphed into the actual label. So as part of that, we were always managing artists. I mean, there was a while there where he released the most songs for Carnival. So I was working with Cupid well, not Ricky T at the time, but Cupid. We discovered Mongstar along the way when he worked with, when he was a judge on Peter Superstars. So we started managing Mongstar's career as well. And just a bunch of other artists that he met along the way. So J Buds and Sergi and Scaddy. Yes, Scaddy used to be an artist back in the day. Superman HD, of course, back then he was Pringles. And all these different artists. So we were always working. So I became the person who dotted the I's and crossed the T's. So they create the music, I do the press releases, I do the write-ups for each song, we release it wherever we release it, and I monitor the social media pages for the label and all the artist pages, and make sure that they are booked and they are where they're supposed to be. So if they have to be driven there, I will do that. When they get backstage, do they have water? Do they have their drinks? Are they comfortable? Does the DJ have the music? And so being an artist manager is, you basically have to be everywhere that the artist needs you to be, sometimes before the artist or the people that you are there know that you are there for. So that's basically what it is. When I became a journalist, it's because I used to read magazines like the Rolling Stone, like Rolling Stone magazine. I wanted to be a music journalist. I've always been into music, and not just any music that people would consider you would listen to St. Lucian music. If you were to look at my playlist right now, I have a lot of hip-hop, yes, but I also have Barbara Streisand, I also have Eric Donaldson. I have a fair mix because I grew up always listening to music, so I love music. And I like to go where I am needed. So the idea that I could actually take St. Lucian music and artists and help them to become more professional, to get them to that next level, because it's not because they lack talent. A lot of times they just don't know how. I mean, how many artists do you think could actually have headshots or studio shots or a biography or know how to handle a social media page? They will go on there and they'll post whatever, not realizing that it has repercussions and consequences for their image and for the fans that they actually end up attracting. Managing a social media page is actually a lot of work. Knowing what to post, how to get the content made. So that's where I come in. I really saw that what the talent needed was to have more of a business structure. So that's what I provide. I am creative in that we are able to design campaigns to release music and to compete for competition and for titles. But I like to think that my main interest in doing music in St. Lucia is because I am a St. Lucian and I want St. Lucian music to be respected and to be seen and heard on the world stage. And to get that, we have to get an image of accessibility and professionalism, because people want to hire artists, but they have to get the artists. A lot of times you get the artists, you can't get them because they change their phone number or they move from where you thought they were living before, and then you get them, they don't have the samples, they don't have the backing track, they don't have the songs. All of these things need to be put in place, because when your opportunity comes, you have to be ready to go. And that's what I bring to the table. So I handle all the details that need to be handled so the artist can be the artist. One of the things that we brought to the table, because it is not just me, it is my team, is we changed the look of being an artist. Keep in mind that when we started doing this, St. Lucian soca was still in its infancy. Calypsonians still actually competed for Soca Monarch as a viable option for soca artists. And soca music was still seen as that cousin from down the road. It wasn't taken seriously. And what we did was, it wasn't something that it was a seasonal thing, because it's a career. And we changed that by making it more of a career-looking thing. So you can sing, so you can perform, and that's great. But when you release a song, how do you release it? You put on a thing, you call a DJ? No. So what we did was, we started to do write-ups for each song. Then start putting the song on YouTube. Then put it on social media. Then by the time somebody calls to book the artist, you have a bio ready. You have pictures so they can put on a flyer. You demand that as part of the artist being booked. You want my artist, he has to be on his own flyer. because that means I get to promote him. It makes the artist look like a real artist if they seem to be on an event flyer. As opposed to back in the day, you just say and more. You know, I made to imagine artists one time and we went backstage at a show and one of the artists said to him, I know you were on that show. He's like, yeah, did you see the and more? That's me, I'm the and more. So that used to happen. Back in the day, artists would get booked, St. Lucian artists would get booked for something and there'd be no refreshments for them. There'd be no place to change. There would be, because people didn't see it or take it seriously as a profession. So when you have somebody who is a professional, who is known in those circles like me, actually doing that, it lends an air of authenticity to it. And it comes with its own things. So people may take it more seriously because look at who is managing. This is somebody who I know is a professional. She knows what she's doing. And I know if I call her, she can tell me, you're available on that date, you can do this, you can do that, and she will get you there on time. So all of these things have changed over the years, and it's because people are taking it more seriously. Back in the day, your manager was just your partner that used to come forward to get to the show for free. It wasn't somebody that was actually managing your business, ensuring that you got your bookings right, ensuring that you got paid and on time, ensuring how much money you got paid, and that's what a manager does. A manager brings a level of business to something that is creative. But you may see the artist in front, but the artist would not be as successful without the manager. Because one of the things that I pride myself on is that when my artist hits the stage, the only thing that's on his mind is having a good time and ensuring the people that he comes in to perform and entertain for have a good time. He's not worried about if he's gonna get paid or not. When he gets off the stage, he knows his viewers is there, his refreshments is there, he can sit down and he'll be comfortable. He knows all of these things allow the artist to actually be more creative, because trying to worry about their bottom line and trying to get to that next level or be successful in the business, when you have all these other things on your mind, and you can see it, you can see artists who are responsible for their own business, they struggle because you can't be creative if you're worrying about props and dancers, and all of these things prevent you from being focused on you, the judges, and the performance. So I bring that level of don't worry about it, somebody has it, to the artist and what the artist represents. One of the only reasons why an artist and an artist manager relationship works is because of trust. The artist has to trust you. Now, for the most part, if it's not somebody that they grew up with or that they know, that level of trust has to be from the very beginning for them to actually enter into that relationship with you. And they have to trust that you have their best interests at heart. Let's be honest, there are a lot of artists who had managers in this country who have stolen their money, who have booked them knowing full well they could not get to the gig, and thereby destroying their reputation, the reputation of the country and our industry as well. So you have to have that level of trust. One of the most difficult things that is there to manage with an artist is the attitude and the belief in self. And that means that if you're taking somebody who has a job, it's a soca artist, it's not seen as a real job. So you have to get somebody whose parents may not think of what they're doing as real, and whose belief in what they're doing as being a successful way to survive. You have to convince them that this is going to get to where they're trying to go, and they don't have the vision that you have. So you're trying to tell somebody without the discipline that is needed to be successful. You have to not go on social media every time your girlfriend gets you pissed off and cuss her out, because it'll end up affecting you. Even though you want to do it and all your peers are doing it, you see nothing wrong with that. You're trying to tell somebody, if you have an issue with somebody, it is best to deal with it face to face as opposed to sending voice notes back and forth that can be used against you later on, when that's not something that is natural to them. You're trying to tell somebody, if you want to go out there and perform, you can't wear that shirt and you can't wear that pants, and you shouldn't put that thing in your neck because of the image that you're trying to project. You should put on a jacket or go to this gig. You should wear this or that. You're basically trying to tell a grown person how to dress, where to wear what you want them to wear, and how to express themselves, be natural to them. So the challenges that I've had is trying to get artists to see the vision and to make them believe that what I think you should do is the best thing. But as much as I want to be the one to help to design something or execute, along the way, I've had to learn that you have to, it's give and take, because you want the artist to be authentic as well. You can't have somebody out there that, St. Lucians are very discerning. The world is discerning. There's a reason why you have people believing that Kendrick Lamar is Kendrick Lamar and Drake suffering like Drake is suffering, in other words. Because there's an authenticity. You know, when you see this little guy, you know that's Kendrick Lamar, that's it. He's not pretending to be anybody but who he is. That's who he is. But if you can't get a feel of somebody, eventually the facade is going to slip. And one of the things that I've always benefited from is that I've always managed artists that are authentic and real. They connect with St. Lucians because St. Lucians see them as who they are. And because of that, it means that, and I've always had artists who were more or less trusting of the process of what we were trying to do, so that made it easier to get what we were trying to get. But it is a struggle, and you do fight, and you do, because imagine putting your trust in somebody to do something, and then if all your friends are saying to you, that's why you wearing them pants, just so we get them pants, I say I'm doing good, because they don't know any better. Or you trying to tell somebody to put on a jacket. This is a culture where most people used to wear jackets only go to a wedding or a funeral. You want a man to go on a stage wearing a jacket, it just doesn't work. But it does. It depends on where he's performing and for what reason. I used to manage a female artist, and when I put her in a bodysuit, everybody was like, why are you on there half? But then I'm like, yo, that's what Beyonce wears. That's what J-Lo wears. That's what Patrice wears. You're an artist, it's a costume. It's a costume. And she wore the thing, and everybody just, you look at them differently because you start to see them as a professional as opposed to just come with your jeans and your t-shirt. Everything about you is your product. So you have to believe in the product that you're selling. And as a manager, trying to get the artist to buy into that vision can sometimes be difficult. And sometimes getting them to be disciplined enough to follow the plan. Like our little friend over here right now. Thank you, honey. But it is rewarding. It is a lot of work. Managing an artist and doing so effectively is a lot of work. But then you get to win Soca Monarch. And that's pretty nice. Because I am also very competitive. And I love competition. I like to know that I contributed to that. That I'm part of a team that wins. I like being part of a team that we fight and we push and we pull. But ultimately, we know that we have each other and they're my family. And you do for your family. So no amount of hard work or time matters because you're working for your family. One of the ways that you maintain quality control is to make sure that the artist understands your role and their role in that relationship. In other words, back in the day, an artist would get called by anybody, their friends, any promoter would call the artist directly and ask them to come and perform for them. And they would try to lowball them for a performance fee, right? That used to happen all the time. And it was a tough fight to get artists to get to a point where they understood that if you let me deal with the promoter, you don't have to deal with your friend and have a falling out, but I will also get you more money than he would have paid you. Now, it's easy for me to say that because I'm not the one who's depending on this money or this income for my survival. So you have to get to a place where the artist has to believe that if you're negotiating for me, I will get more money. It might not happen immediately, but you're going to negotiate a fair price. That is its own thing. So that's part of your quality. If I am the one negotiating a contract for you, it means that you are going to get a proper picture on a flyer because you're going to get studio shots so it can be used for your promotion. It means that you're going to get everything that you want backstage. You're going to get your drink, you're going to get your towels, you're going to get your fruit, you're going to get everything that you want. You're going to get an actual place to park when you get there because parking is important. And that's part of the actual negotiation on your behalf. You're going to get the passes that you want. So you don't have to, promoter used to be like, okay, well, 2 passes, you and the person. No. It's a negotiation. So you want to hire him for your gig. So these are our conditions and our terms. So one of the first things that, for example, we have a rider for our artist. So no matter where he performs, the rider is presented to the promoter so that you have to meet the conditions of that rider. And all of these things are involved in that. So the quality control comes from the artist giving you permission by your presence in their life to actually handle all these details and not doing it themselves so that If the artist is working on music, the person who actually decides the music is going out is not going to be the artist or the producer that he happens to work with. Because before he goes into a studio, you as the manager know that he's going in the studio. You're working on the song, you hear the song, you know, you've seen the cover, you've designed the cover, you've approved the cover. So everything that goes out is already part of everything you're trying to do for the artist. He's not going to some random studio or doing some random song and you hear by on the radio. That doesn't happen. Because you lose control over, like for example, St. Lucia We Love. That song came out, it was probably the third song I think or second song that Mongstar had written on that rhythm. He'd written another song, which was a very beautiful love song, and he wanted to sing it, but it wasn't right for him. So the producer was like, you know what, let's make Marianne sing it. Marianne sang the song. The song is beautiful. And he was like, you know what, you have another song in you, go write something else. He was in Lucia We Love, and the rest is history. So sometimes just because an artist can write something doesn't mean that he's writing the song for him. And that's one of the talents that people like Mongstar or Ricky T have. Ricky T will write for multiple people, but it doesn't have to sound like Ricky T when they're singing it. I don't know anybody else that could have written something like Just Your Turn. Nothing about that song is a traditional song you've heard of. The thing of yours is just your turn. I mean, and when he said it, I mean, I still remember where I was. We were at a live show and they were saying, wrap it up, wrap it up. But he wanted to release the verse and chorus of this new song. And he decided to say to the crowd, and in no time, call and repeat, and the song was gone. So you have to have that kind of faith in your artist, because I don't interfere with the creative aspects of what he does, or any of my artists, because it is important that they get to feel like they are themselves as well. You know, as much as you want to control certain things or as many things as you want to, if you don't allow the person to be themselves, they will not be able to connect with the crowd. They won't be comfortable. So yeah, sometimes I would rather you not wear that or wear that, but you'd rather wear that and you're more comfortable, and that's okay. One of the things I love about St. Lucian soca music is St. Lucian soca music has the influence of all the music that St. Lucians listen to. It is authentically our sound. Denry segments is a generic thing that just started because back in the day during Christmas, people would have their little serenal in their back and they make their little songs and their little beats. And that is where Denry segments came from. Some of the most successful artists in that genre, you see that they are big on freestyling. They go to karaoke, they hang out at little bars. That's where all of that comes from. And what makes St. Lucian sounds unique is that St. Lucians sing about real life that is all around them. So they're not trying to nice it up or make it more civilized. It's literally nakupesa half-half. We cutting the house in half. Like literally how we speak is how we write. That's unique. One of the challenges that we've had is trying to make Denry segments in a way that other people would enjoy it. That's what people kept saying. But then a lot of our biggest Denry segment songs are literally as they were written for St. Lucians. Good music will always transcend boundaries. If the song is good, it is good. Nothing about met the girl from Dairy So, took her to a soca show, I bring the girl by the bar, she asked for Glow Coco, is how you would think a traditional song is written. But that was one of the biggest songs. I literally sat in a tent once and saw Mongstar perform that song and literally carry the entire tent outside to the bar because of that song. So you can't tell people that the music is not good because they feel it. When you hear St. Lucian music, when you're on the road for Carnival on Monday and Tuesday, Lucians don't want to hear nothing from Trinidad or Grenada, you know, they want to hear St. Lucian music. When it's raining, we want to hear Laboué from Ninja Dan. We like the old songs. We like all these songs that fed into where we are right now. Other music, Ricky T's biggest song to date internationally is Freaky Girls. Biggest song. When he performed at Soca Monarch, I think he plays dead last with that same song. So you have to be able to do music for different things. Matting is a huge song in St. Lucia. It may not be able to be sung in the UK or in the States, but if Ricky T performs and doesn't sing Matting, it's crazy. Pressure Boom is still played at every carnival around the world, every single year, without fail. That song was his first major hit. So the point is, what in Pressure Boom makes it a hit? My pressure bad, my pressure bad. That's literally the song. It's the rhythm, it's the music. All of these things are part of our culture. I mean, you hear Container, you hear Manger Maman. It's something about it that moves you. A lot of how we react to music is why other people like our music, you know. Because they see how Lucian, I have seen, Lucian people will be at a fete by themselves, getting it good on the music. They don't need nobody, they don't need just the music and the vibe and the rhythm. And our music will always be carried overseas because our people are overseas. Julian Alfred did not listen to Sly all the time because she's a Lucian. You're trying to compete for something, you're inspired by your country. Being able to have that song on easy access is an easy get for anybody. So yeah, we've come a long way. It's no longer fast calypso. We are soca artists. But this is the same country that gave you Manger Maman and gave you something like Put Your Condom On and Put It To A Beat. Lucians will always be Lucians. And whether it's Nerdy or Shemi J or Ricky or Freezy, as long, Freezy's song took what, 3 years to actually get to where it is there right now. It's taking him took a while to actually get there. And one of the reasons when Ricky T used to go out to perform, he would sing it. People thought it was his song initially because he was always singing it while he's performing. That's one of the ways that we grow our music. If something is good and you get to go out there, don't just sing your songs. Sing your other people's songs too. Because it means that these people get a chance to be on a stage that they would not be because their sounds are there. That's how we grow it. It can't be only one person all the time. You have to literally be carrying the island behind you all the time. And that's how we do it. We can't be selfish and we cannot be thinking only about, oh, well, he's trying to take my song, using my song to get a hype. No, he's introducing your stuff to a bigger audience. But on the real though, are you a Drake fan? No, I hope not, because yuck. Are you a Drake fan? Because yuck. Okay. I've never liked Drake in all fairness, but still. No, the man is a pop artist. And when he sings pop, can't you totally best sing a beat, brother? Sing an R&B song. That's your vibe. That's your vibe. That's your vibe. Sing your R&B, my brothers. A little melody, a little beat. That's your thing. That's what your thing. You could tell because that's why I like to battle and win. One of the good things about technology is that it flattens the world, right? It puts everything on a level playing field. So Ricky T can release a song the same way that Kendrick Lamar released a song. It's the same platform, it's the same places that you go. And not only that, it means that music can be done faster. Back in the day, you had to take how long to do a song. I mean, when you hear Jay-Z speak about how he put his first couple of albums together, you have to cut the tape, and put the tape, wait for the tape to get cut. That doesn't happen. A person could literally build a beat and do a song and release a song in a day or two if they really wanted to. If you could mix it and master it yourself, a day or two. Kanye literally has done that before. So it's the same kind of thing. So what technology allows us to do is to be able to produce music faster, to be able to use different things. Back in the day, you had to actually have live instruments to actually play some of these things in your songs. You no longer have to. It gives the music a sound of richness that you can't get with machines. But every time somebody's inventing something to make it that much more what it used to be, but quicker. So technology allows us to record music faster. It allows us to release music to the wider public and the world at the same time. So you no longer have to have access to a radio to hear a song. The stuff is on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's on Spotify, it's literally everywhere. So one of the things that we want artists to take advantage of is don't just think about distributing your music and trying to get an interview on a radio station in St. Lucia. Why limit yourself? Get an international profile. Release the thing on Spotify, on iTunes, on Deezer, wherever you can get people to hear your music, on TikTok, on Facebook, on wherever it is, meet your fans where they are, and you get new fans that way. Technology for an artist is like, it's literally like, you know, when the world started, the whole idea of the big boom is kind of like that. It allows you to be creative. It allows you to be heard in so many different places. I mean, Ricky T last year was in Bali, and he was in Japan, performing to people that you don't even think could understand you, but they are whining and they're loving it and they're enjoying it. Music is a universal, beautiful thing. No matter what it is, you can always, people will feel your energy and your vibe from how you express it, but also because it's just good music and a good vibe. So technology allows us to be heard and seen across the globe, literally. So you don't have to worry about getting your songs only from Rodney Bay to Dennery. Send the thing to, you know, to Quebec. Send it to Canada. Send it to Lithuania. Send it to Russia. First of all, there are Lucians everywhere. So wherever a Lucian will be always there to push your vibe and your speed, but also because it allows the amount of energy, and I want people to understand that, the amount of energy that it takes to create a song. It is a time-consuming process to put a beat together, to write the lyrics, to record the song, to mix, to master it, to come with all the elements that you see at the final product. And I want people to have an appreciation for that, so that when an artist is on a stage and singing a song, he may not be your favorite artist. Give him a listening ear, because he has worked to get there. And that's one of the things they say my heart's soft. When I used to go to tents, I'd always feel the worst for the guy that called me like, you know, the guy that, as soon as he comes on the stage, Lucian say they go into the bar and they say it loud enough for the man to head him on the stage, I need a drink. I always felt for that guy. And that's one of the reasons why I'm a manager, because I like to, when my artist is performing, I'm literally in front of the stage watching them the whole time. I'm watching them, I'm watching the band, I'm watching the crowd. I want to be able to see what is connecting, what is not, when you should move on to something else, when you should end. And it's part of the relationship and the trust that I was speaking about earlier. The artist knows that their manager is there because they can physically see you there. And that alone gives them confidence to keep doing what they have to do.
Feel the vibes? Embody the spirit. Lucian Carnival. Nothing sweeter than that.